Henry VII was 4 years old when Edward IV became King of England. But this was long before Henry would become king. He was born in Wales at Pembroke Castle, where his uncle, Jasper Tudor, was the Earl of Pembroke. His title when he was born was Henry Tudor, Earl of Richmond. His father had died 3 months before he was born, and his mother, now a widow, was around 13 years old. Then, just 2 months after Henry was born, his uncle Jasper and his mother began discussions of his mother remarrying. And 11 months after he was born, she did, to Sir Henry Stafford. With this marriage, it is likely Henry was separated from his mother. He spent the first years of his life at Pembroke Castle under the protection of his uncle, Jasper. Jasper was a staunch Lancastrian supporter and the half-brother to King Henry VI. Henry himself claimed Lancastrian descent from his mother, Margaret Beaufort. But when the York King Edward ascended the throne, everything changed for Henry and his family. His uncle Jasper was declared a traitor and was forced into exile. Jasper's estates were given by Edward IV to a man named William Herbert, who was the Lord of Raglan and the owner of Raglan Castle. William Herbert was Welsh and an incredibly important ally and supporter of Edward IV. He became the first Welshman ever ennobled to the English peerage and became Baron of Raglan. As Pembroke Castle was taken away from Jasper, Henry Tudor became the property of the new king, and Edward could now grant his very lucrative wardship to whom he pleased. Wardships in the Middle Ages were big business. Until the child came of age, you were in charge of their lands, and you were also in charge of arranging their marriage. William paid £1,000 for Henry's wardship. There were even possible designs to betroth Henry to William's sixth child, Maud. Henry's lands were confiscated and given to Edward IV's brother, George, Duke of Clarence. Henry was immediately moved to Raglan Castle, and there he stayed for the next 7 to 8 years. He was integrated into the family and educated alongside William's other children, and experienced life in a noble household. However, this period of relative stability ended abruptly in the summer of 1469 with the execution of William Herbert. Herbert, who had been elevated to the earldom of Pembroke and had significant power in Wales, had become a target of Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, also known as the Kingmaker. Warwick, feeling his own influence waning under Edward IV, had turned against the king. Following a decisive victory at the Battle of Edgecote Moor in July 1469, Warwick captured William Herbert and his brother, Richard Herbert. They were subsequently beheaded on August 12, 1469. With the loss of his powerful protector, Henry's position became vulnerable. His Lancastrian heritage made him a potential figure in the ongoing political struggles. Consequently, his wardship reverted to the crown. Initially, it is thought Henry possibly came under the control of the Earl of Warwick. This move marked a significant change for the young Henry, transitioning him from the relative security of Raglan to a more uncertain existence amid the volatile political climate. In 1470, Henry VI briefly regained power. Henry's uncle, Jasper, returned from exile and immediately sought him out and brought him to court. As the Game of Thrones continued, Edward IV would regain power in 1471, and Henry's safety was again in question. This would lead to Jasper and Henry fleeing to Brittany. The relationships Henry made while living with the Herberts endured. years later, the son of William Herbert, also named William, would eventually fight on Henry Tudor's side at the pivotal Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. The outcome of that battle would make Henry King of England, the last King of England ever to be born in Wales, and the beginning of the Tudor Dynasty. Hi friends, this is Evelyn. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something from it. You help us to share history with classrooms, families that use these videos for homeschool, and you help people all over the world that watch both my live streams and my videos see historic sites and learn about the stories of our past. Be sure to click that subscribe button so we can continue to make history and historic sites more accessible to those who might not be able to come to them otherwise. You can also become a member to my channel that I call the Castle Crew. With that, you get access to a book club, member-only lives, member-only videos, and so much more.